Welcome to the Private Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Storm, here to help you unlock the mind, business, and spirit of your private practice success. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to grow, this is the place for you if you really want to create a thriving private practice. Before we dive in, I want to share something that can really make a difference in your business. Imagine having an expert in your pocket, someone available on demand whenever you need guidance. Well, that's exactly what my new program, Practice Momentum, offers. With over 30 years of experience at your fingertips, you can now get the support you need whenever you need it. Curious? Head over to brooklynstorm.com to learn more. Hey there, everybody. Good morning. And gosh, I'm always so croaky in the morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice Podcast. As promised, today I'm going to give you some insight into the Etsy journey. And the reason why is because I said that I would in the last episode, but also because I know so many of you are interested in creative passive income and also having an Etsy store. So I thought it might be helpful to, do a sort of what did I learn? What are the lessons? And what does it look like now? Because the Etsy journey for me, setting up my, second shop a couple of years later, I've learned a lot. And hopefully, this can create some shortcuts for you so that, well, not that I really I don't think I made like big mistakes or anything like that, but I know now what I could do this time around that could make things work more quickly, i.e., get more sales more quickly. So I'm just going to go over them. So a couple of years ago, I had an Etsy store. It was called Hey Therapist. I loved my little store. It was something that I was doing because a girlfriend of mine, she was in a course that I was doing, and she sells templates on Etsy, and she was like, hey, you should definitely do this. And I'd never even thought of it before. And I was like, no, I'm busy with my coaching and everything. But I guess the idea kind of stayed with me, and I spoke to her about it again, and then she was like, oh yeah, you could totally do it for business. And then I thought, well, why not? And I knew nothing about Etsy. I knew nothing about, what to sell or how to sell it or anything like that. So I went on a very steep learning curve, and you know what that's like. You're watching a lot of YouTube videos, you're Googling all the things that I say to you guys, this is the problem with private practice. You're not getting the help that you need. You're like going and getting all of the free stuff. I know, because that's exactly what I did over here. And it was problematic because I was getting different advice and different guidance no matter how many videos I watched or how many rabbit holes I went down. And it was just creating more and more and more and more and more confusion. And it was also around that time too that I thought it was a big boom in MRR, right? So master resale rights. And it was also really big boom at that time in private label rights. And around that time, a membership was formed, and it was called Secret Weapon PLR. And I thought, oh, amazing, great, signed up. And I thought, this is awesome. I'm able to create things using these products. It's just going to save me so much time. And it did, right? I love Secret Weapon. I think it's just like so helpful. I misused it. I didn't use it in air quotes like the right way, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that in a moment so that you can use it the right way. And I just kind of started really. And so I knew that I had to make the business name, and I wanted to just kind of have it as a continuation of the existing business, right? I just wanted it to bring in passive income for my existing business. And it was just like fun for me. It wasn't something that I was serious about. I wasn't like going all in with it. It was just kind of something fun. I wouldn't even say it was really side hustle. It was just, as I said, it was just like, something that I saw as being a lot of fun. And so I get the name for the shop, and then I'm just kind of thinking, okay, what am I going to sell here? And I went into Secret Weapon and I grabbed products, right? Hang on, my phone, the alarm on my phone's just going off. Let me just go and grab that. Okay. That tells me it's 7:50 a.m. and it's time for me to sort of get going and start work. Okay. And yes, I got things like journals, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I went and rebranded the journals and everything, blah, 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 put them up. And then I also had my own stuff and, things like resources that I'd made for, women in private practice and stuff like that. And so I started rebranding those with the Hey Therapist and, all of the things. And I was loading everything up. And I also knew that it's volume that gets you sales. And I knew that because a lot of the, research I did down rabbit holes was about making sure that you had volume. So it's kind of like when you start a podcast. When you start a podcast, Apple, well, this was when I started mine, okay, which was, 4 years ago now. Apple used to have a thing where you could submit your feed for your podcast, but you had to have a certain number of episodes ready to go. I think it was like 5 or something. So it's kind of the same idea with Etsy, but it's different. You want to have a bunch of products ready to go so that when people come to your store, it doesn't look like a ghost town. You got to have a bunch of things there. So anyway, I made a bunch of things and then I was like, okay, how's everybody doing this? So I got into online communities on Facebook and for Etsy sellers and things like that. I was having a look and I was watching what everybody else was doing and I was reading the posts and I was seeing how they were pricing things. And then I just figured, well, I'll do what everybody else is doing. And so I see now that I was like undercharging. So I had things that, could have sold for a lot more than they did, but I was selling them for very, very low prices because this was what I was picking up. Like the message I was getting from these online groups was the way to get the sales is by volume and having low prices and all of that. So that's what I did. I took the advice and I did it, but I didn't think critically, which is not like me because, I know I say this all the time. I do blame it on my university education, like at Monash Uni, when I was studying, it was all about trying to get psychology not seen as one of the arts and to be seen as a science. And so when I was doing my degree, psychology became really scientific. Like even the counselling side of psychology became very scientific. It was all about measuring outcomes, having an independent variable, dependent variable, having your hypothesis, having your null hypothesis, having multiple hypotheses, doing linear regression on the answers and MANOVAs and chi-squareds and all the things, right? If you're my age, I'm sure you're nodding along and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So my degree was very, very science-based. Although I did do masters in counselling psychology, it was still very, yes, we learned the techniques and the theories and the therapies, and we did 1,000 hours of pracs where we were working with clients, delivering counselling and everything. I know ACA and PACFA don't want to recognise it, but I've got no idea why that is. I think it's because it's got the word psychology in the degree, but whatever. Even all of that, while we were doing that, we had to do lab reports. They were called lab reports, and it was like comparing people's scores on pre and post counselling interventions for things like CBT, for ACT, for positive psychology, for brief solution focus. So it was like testing all the time. So anyway, you learn, it just becomes part of your DNA to think critically. And I do try and do that in life. Like I did it with COVID, for example. I was thinking critically. I'm not afraid to look at two sides. I'm not afraid to question things. But for some reason, when I started my Etsy store, I just surrendered into the void of, I don't know what I'm doing. Everybody else must know better. And yeah, I just did what I thought was the right thing to do, as we all do, right? But I can see now that it actually probably didn't help my business very much at all. So back then I had a niche, which was selling my products to, women in private practice. That was the niche. I know now probably needed an even more specific niche. So again, it's just like when we have a private practice. I had a niche. So in private practice, right, you might go really broad and say, I see people from 4 years old to 94, and I deliver all the modalities for all of the conditions to everybody, and I do it online and I do it in person, right? That's not a niche. A niche might be, I do it for anxiety, which is great. It's still a niche, but a better niche is I do it for, you could say, children with school-based anxiety, right? That's an even better niche. So I know now I need a more specific niche. Okay, good, tick. I've worked it out. I've got my new specific niche. With the pricing, I know now, while I made lots of sales, my business was the shop was bringing me anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month consistently. But I didn't realize that until, the shop closed, and then I needed to go and track numbers and do all of the things and get my data together. And the money came in dribs and drabs, as I said last time. So I didn't really know what was going on, but it was bringing in consistent money. It could have brought in more had I priced everything correctly. What I learned in the online communities was you got to price low, and then you've got to run sales or discounts. So I was doing that. So I had things that I was selling for less than $10, and then people were getting 50% off and stuff like that. And then Etsy take a fee, right? It's not free to use the platform, obviously. You need to pay a fee. I have no issue with that. I think the fees are very reasonable considering everything that they do. It's kind of like Psychology Today, in that Etsy invest a lot into promoting you, promoting your shop, promoting your products, making sure they get in front of the right people. I'm more than happy to pay that, what I think it's a no-brainer fee for the service that you get. When I say it's similar to Psychology Today, I mean Psychology Today invests so much money in the same thing as SEO, making sure that your profile gets, right up the top of the first page on Google. I mean, you would pay thousands for that normally, but you pay just $20 a month or $25 a month, whatever it is. And I don't understand why people complain about that. Why would you complain about that? I don't get it. But anyway, Etsy's the same in that they really want to get your shop sales. And of course, it's because the more sales they make, the more sales your shop makes, the more money Etsy makes. So they do a great job. And but I did myself a disservice by underpricing. And I know that, again, I didn't apply my private practice business strategies at all to my Etsy shop. In my head, they were just two separate things. But I see now, by not applying those private practice principles over to my Etsy store, I missed out, right? So one of the other examples of where I missed out, so it was the niching, it was not being specific enough with things, I was charging fees based on what everybody else was charging, which is what I, jump on you guys for. I'm always like, why are you doing that? You need to charge what your business needs you to be charging. But I didn't do that. I charged based on what everybody else was doing. And the problem with that was other people weren't selling the same stuff. They were selling clip art. They were selling wedding invitations. They were selling children's party game printables, right? Completely different market. I didn't take any of that into consideration. Now it's like plain as day. It's very different to sell, I don't know, something like, let's say, wedding invitations, right? It's very different to sell a wedding invitation versus selling a plan to start your private practice, right? Now, a plan to start your private practice is going to be pretty expensive. I was selling them for like less than $10 and then putting them on sale so that I could get a sale, because this was what I had sort of pieced together and duct taped together from all the free information in the free communities. See, it's exactly like I'm so kicking myself right now because I'm doing exactly what so many of us do when we start our private practice. And yeah, anyway, don't make my mistakes. I'll keep going. The other thing was I wasn't tracking anything. Another surprise, big surprise. Again, when people join Momentum right from day one, they get in their onboarding a tracker. It's like, track your numbers. And a lot of the time they're like, what, who, where, when, how? Like, no, numbers are scary. I don't want to do it. What's this all about? Yeah, and there's a whole lot of stuff that comes up. Sometimes it's just they don't know how, they don't know what. There's mindset around it, all of the things. It's like another part of the learning curve, or they're scared to look at the numbers, all those really normal things, okay? But I wasn't checking my numbers for my Etsy store. I wasn't. I couldn't tell you what my best sellers were. I would have no idea what my best sellers were. No idea. I couldn't tell you what I didn't sell anything of. Again, like, do you see how this is a problem? And what I was doing was, because I knew you need 1,000. Okay, don't freak out. I'm just saying, like, this was my experience. It's about volume. Ideally, you want to have 500 to 1,000. I think when I finished, I had, I don't know, it was 650 or 850. I forget which. It's just like kind of like gone in my mind. But it was 650 or 850 products I had. But I was creating products from products. Now, because I wasn't tracking, looking back, why on earth would I even do that? Because I had no idea if those initial products were even selling, yet here I was making products based on them, right? It doesn't make a skerritt of sense. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did it because what happened was it became, for me, the Etsy store went from, oh, this is like just fun. This is something I do in my spare time. There's a lot of fun. It became kind of like laborious. It was like, oh, I can't go hiking on Sunday because I've got to get another 30 products ready to upload this week, right? And I would spend a Sunday in Canva making products. So yeah, there was that. So obviously this time I'm tracking. And, I've got a little tracking dashboard that I've made for myself. So I know, again, it's like in private practice, right? You got to track all the things. You got to track your inquiries. You got to track your conversions, blah, 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 blah. So I've made myself a tracker so that I can see what's working, what's not, and make informed decisions from there. And I feel so good about that. The other thing was I never researched the competition. And this was never really mentioned on any of the YouTube videos or what I was Googling back then, or the communities that I was in. Nobody was really talking about, like, go and check out the competition. And so it never occurred to me, it never crossed my mind. Again, big problem because I probably wasn't differentiating myself from other people who were in my niche. How can you lean into what makes you different if you don't know what everybody else is doing, right? So I didn't do that. And apart from the fact that I kind of didn't really think it was like a thing, it never really crossed my mind. I guess too, back then, I probably wouldn't have, because I would have been scared to I guess, look at what other people were doing, because maybe it might have intimidated me and scared me away from having a shop. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think maybe you know what I mean. I was just so worried that if I went and looked at my competition, maybe they were going to be doing it like heaps better. And then, like, who am I to sell the things? And why should I be charging my fees if they're not? And I was just worried I was going to like go down that. So I avoided it by, also just not doing it. Interesting. This time around, I have done it. And guess what? Somebody else who's a private practice coach is on there selling stuff they've purchased from me. So, now with that awareness, I've gone and actually bought her product. I'm going to have a look and see what else of mine she might be selling as her own. Very problematic. So I have to look at that, and then of course obviously take action and get her to remove those and some whatever. But very glad that I did look, because otherwise I wouldn't have realized that, and then I couldn't have sorted it out. But anyway, I think now it's very important to have a look at what other people are doing in your niche, because it gives you an idea of, I guess, the price, the demand for things, how things are being, like what's included, what's omitted, like all of that. And it gives you a better way to, I guess, find your little, not niche, but like find your way, find your thing. There's going to be, just like in private practice, right? I always say that there's an abundance of clients, right? There's clients for everyone. It doesn't matter what your professional background is, whether you've got a diploma or a tertiary degree. It doesn't matter if you're a psychologist, a social worker, or a counselor. Like, it doesn't matter. There's an abundance of clients for everybody, irrespective of niche. And it's the same with Etsy. There's an abundance of buyers. You're going to find your people, right? Just like you find your people with your therapy practice, with your private practice, you got your people. So maybe like, I don't know, 100 of you listening all work with, late diagnosed women with ADHD. You all do it differently, and you've all got your people, right? And your people are probably never going to be my people. They're your people, right? They resonate with you, with your approach, with who you are as a person, your personality. Like, they just vibe with you. You know what I mean? And it's the same with buyers, but I wasn't even thinking that. I wasn't approaching. You can hear just in these reflections this morning that I just was not approaching my Etsy store with a business mindset. I wasn't. I was just going into it with the mindset of, this is going to be a bit of fun, and it's going to be, so much fun to say I've got a store on Etsy. So competitor research, that's a thing. Do it. And then the other thing, I'm sure this is not the last thing, but the other thing is that I didn't really put much planning into it. My products that I was selling were pretty much determined by what was available through Secret Weapon at the time. And so I was just looking there and I was saying, okay, what can I adapt? What's going to work? What can I use? Blah, blah, blah. And I was letting the products in that membership determine what I was going to be selling in my shop for the most part. I mean, not entirely, but for the most part, I was very reliant on that membership for my goodies, right? So anyway, I know that now I don't need to do that. And when I say that, I think that having access to something like a place where you can get the private label rights, right? Private label rights just means somebody has gone and made a template, and you can rebrand that template and you can sell the finished product as your own, right? You can't resell the template, obviously, but you can get their template, you can put your colors, your branding, your logos, your stuff, whatever, and make it your own, and you can sell it as like a PDF, for example. I think that that's a great starting point if you're just starting out, but also think about, is it right for my audience? Is this going to move? And trust yourself as well. So with me, I was trusting that this PLR membership knew what it was doing, which it does. But I just blindly thought that, okay, journals are a thing. And lots of people were selling journals. Lots of people were doing it. Lots of people were making planners, things like that. And I just thought, well, yeah, okay, if everybody else is doing it. See, this was my thinking. It's so embarrassing. This was my thinking. I was like, well, okay, that must be a thing. So yeah, okay, I'll do that too. But I never even stopped to think, like, how many women in private practice are purchasing journals and actually using them? How many women in private practice are actively even Googling, find me a journal on this or that? I don't know that many of them are. I think my clients are probably looking for different things, but I wasn't even as I said, I just wasn't in a businessy headspace. So the other thing is, when I started my Etsy shop last time, it all happened very quickly. I think you can even go back. I'm sure I recorded podcast episodes on the journey, on the experience. But I think from memory, maybe I even got the whole thing up and running in a morning. I think it was really quick. I got, I got my banner up. I got the name up. I set up a whole bunch of stuff, and yeah, it just kind of I think it was pretty quick. And then this time around, I was expecting, because, you think that your previous experience is going to, like your current experience or the experience you're about to have, is going to be determined by your past one. It's not. I think if you take a moment to think about how would I do it differently, absolutely. And that's what I'm sharing with you now. So yeah, I was like, okay, I made the decision, I'm going to do it. And yeah, I think I was kind of expecting this was going to go quickly, but because I'm taking a business mindset now approach to starting this other shop, it's taking a lot longer. It has been, when did I make the decision? I think was it Friday or Saturday? So it's only been a few days. I think it's been, it's been 4 or 5 days. Yeah. Give or take. No, it's been 5 days, I think. The number of hours that I have spent on this business, I was going to say into the decades, but what I meant was, I'm well into double digits. I think it was like most of Saturday, most of Sunday was spent, just kind of behind the scenes doing things, just from that business mindset. Again, it was like, what's the vision here? What's the 12-month plan? What's the 90-day plan? What's the goal? Being very intentional with it this time, doing the, as you heard, competitor research. It never fails to surprise me. I mean, why do people just take your stuff? Anyway, I know why, but it's really annoying. Anyway, doing competitor research, pricing appropriately, thinking about what's the bigger picture here, and 2, thinking about, okay, what's next? So there's big planning around it now. When I say big, I don't mean complicated, because it's not. It's a very simple plan, but there's a 12-month plan. And, there are goals in the plan for products. There are goals in the plan for sales. There are goals in the plan for customer service. There are goals in the plan for my coaching business. Do you know what I mean? It's a whole thing. Of course, as with private practice, there has to be a marketing plan. So there's a marketing plan. So this is what I've been doing over the last few days that I didn't even think about doing last time. So yeah, setting all of that up is taking time, but I can say that last night I put together the first product, and I just gave it a little bit of a polish this morning, and it feels so good. It feels so good. I'm very, very, very excited about it. I can't wait to get it up and out. And yeah, I want to sit here. I'm working with somebody this morning and got supervision for her in 45 minutes, which is awesome. But then after that, I've got the day to myself. So the day for me is going to look like helping the women in Practice Momentum. And then I've allocated time to do Etsy product creation. The products probably aren't going to go up this week. I want to make sure that I'm working according to my plan. So I know exactly what I need to be doing week to week. I've made a flexible plan, so it's going to work with my energy. So I don't know, let's say this afternoon I'm meant to be doing the Etsy stuff. If I'm just not feeling it, I'm going to pass it off and I'm going to focus on doing something else that I do feel like doing because I need variety. It's just how my brain works. And I also know it doesn't help me any when I just try and persevere and push through when I'm not in the mood or when I don't have the energy, when I can't think clearly, when I'm not able to focus and do all of the things. So yeah, it's a simple plan, it's a flexible plan, but the goal for me for the shop this week is product creation. Product creation means creating the physical thing and then getting it ready for marketing. And that's a whole other thing in itself. So doing all of that, and I'm just so excited about it. I am so excited about it. And the other thing too is I was saying to the women in Momentum this week, hey, because a lot of them want to start passive income streams as well. So I've been sharing with them the behind the scenes of how I got the Booked and Better passive income subscription sort of moving. That's heading into its 3rd month. I haven't started working on the next product for that yet. I have started thinking about what I want to do and what I want that to look like. The first product in Booked and Better came about because I had noticed a pattern or a theme or a trend of people in lots of my communities talking about the discovery calls and how they were like struggling with them to get them to convert. And so I wanted this I wanted this subscription, to deliver a simple product for them to use every single month that was going to solve a problem. So I identified that the discovery call conversions were a problem. I wanted to make them a process or a tool or something that they could kind of consume in a lunch break or in a cancellation or a no-show. And so it was like quick for them to digest and easy and simple for them to implement. Like it didn't require any tech knowledge. It wasn't going to require them to sign up for special software, for example, anything like that, just using existing software that they already had access to that was free. And just keeping it really simple. So that was the first product. That was to help their practice get booked, right? That was the Booked and Better part of the equation to get more bookings. Now, people have been using the process and they've been letting me know that it's been working for them. So that was really, really good. And that spurred me on to make the second product. So the second product was about the Better. So Booked and Better. The second product was how can I support them to make their practice better? So then I was looking for the next problem, and because I'd done loads of website wellness checks, like nearly 1,000 of them, one of the things that I know is that so many therapists have options on their website for people to subscribe to a newsletter or an email or something like that, but barely anybody subscribes. And then there are also people who have a free thing on their website, but the free thing rarely gets downloaded. Now, this is a problem because the whole reason that we have those two things, whether it's the get the newsletter or whether it's download the free thing, is because we want to provide a connection. We want to nurture, we want to warm up our potential audience or our active audience and get them to a point where they're ready to book a session with us. So if nobody's downloading the free thing, that's not happening, right? Which means you're not getting inquiries. if nobody's signing up to the newsletter, they're not being part of your world then. They're not getting to know, like, and trust you. So again, the practices just won't get an inquiry. So I was like, okay, how can I make this process better so that they will get inquiries? So the other thing for me about better is not doing things that are already available and that are already out there in the marketplace. So I wanted to be innovative. That's why nobody teaches discovery calls the way that I do. I came up with this brand new way. It's working. These women love it. And then with so you won't find that process anywhere else. The product that I made last month for the better part of Booked and Better was teaching them how to make apps for their private practice. And these apps are used for the download. So they are in place of the email newsletter. I mean, you could still have that, obviously, but they replace it, and they also replace the PDF that's not getting download. And the reason that the apps work is, well, there's a whole lot. You can go and read about it, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the apps work. And so, women have been like making the apps. It didn't take too long for them to see how to do it once they saw how to do it. So learning didn't take long. I included templates for them and stuff like that. They saw what to do, and it was a very short learning curve because the apps that they are sharing with me now look nothing like my templates. And it's awesome. It's so awesome because they've gone and followed the training about how to make the app and made the apps like useful, helpful, and specific to their clients and their audiences. And somebody messaged me on the weekend and she was over the moon, and she said, oh my gosh, I published my app on my website. Someone downloaded it last night, and the same person has gone and booked an appointment with me through the app. Thank you so much. So it's like so exciting. So this month it's going to be about getting booked. So I'm just going to alternate every month. 1 month it's going to be a product for getting booked, the other for better. This month it's going to be about getting booked. I'm toying with a few ideas, but because last month was a big month for creating an app, right? Because once they learned it, they then went and spent time making it and playing around with it and testing it and stuff like that. So that bit took like a weekend for many of them. And then even from there afterwards, there was like fine tuning and stuff like that. And now they're making more, right? It's very exciting. So this time around with the product, I'm thinking I don't want something as involved. Like I want to give them something that's going to be maybe a little bit quicker. It's probably going to be around getting more inquiries so that they can, when they get more inquiries, of course, then they're going to be able to convert, and then those conversions will mean bookings. Those bookings will mean, they'll be able to breathe more easily in terms of the finances and the money. So, I think this next product is probably going to be focused on what can I create for them that will help them to get more inquiries. So, I'm so excited, but as I said, I'm just toying around with ideas at the moment. I haven't locked anything in. So that is kind of happening in my business behind the scenes over there. Then we've got Etsy and working on the Etsy over here. Oh, the other thing that I didn't do last time with Etsy was, again, so embarrassing. One of the things that I speak with the women in Momentum about is like making sure they've got a couple of hours blocked off in their work diary every single week for business development. And I never did that for my Etsy shop. And so, this time I'm doing it for the Etsy shop. I don't want to be working in the shop on weekends unless I'm in the mood and I'm happy about it and stuff like that. Like if it's fun for me, then of course I'm going to do it on a Saturday morning. Why wouldn't I? I'm not going to say, gee, I'd really love to be doing that, but I promised myself I wouldn't, so I won't. No, I'm just going to go with it. But I want if it's weekend stuff that I'm doing or after hours stuff, I want it to be because it's a joy. It's bringing me joy. But the work aspect of it, I've now got time in my diary. As I said, my diary has time blocks in it, but it's kind of like, those puzzles that you get that you slide the tiles around to make the picture? That's kind of like my diary. Like, it's got all these blocks and I can just slide the blocks around. So my diary looks like a different picture every week. I've got the flexibility to do that because usually my mornings are client-based. So the afternoons I can definitely slide tiles. And I usually only work 2 mornings a week in terms of one-to-one sort of direct client work or my group stuff and things like that. From time to time, I do have like a Thursday morning once a month with Momentum, but it's once a month, So I do have things like that. But generally, it's a Monday and sometimes a Tuesday that I do work. I have 1 or 2 rolling supervision clients on a Wednesday. That's pretty much it. So I just kind of slide the blocks around. And so allocating time to treat it as an actual, part of the business. I am just so excited. So I'm not sure when the shop's actually going to be open because, as I said, I'm just kind of like moving through all of this stuff that I didn't do last time and using a business mindset. But of course, I'll let you know when it is, and you can go and have a look at it, and I'll share the link and you can see. And if you're in Practice Momentum, I'm documenting everything as I'm doing it so that if you do want to start your own Etsy store, you can follow along. You can look at what I'm doing. You can say, why is she doing that? Or I don't think I want to do that. Or you can say, oh, good thinking. I would never have thought that. And it's coming from a place of, even more experience now. And I'm so excited because I think if this business before was generating an extra 500 to 1,000 a month, and I didn't really know what I was doing to the point that I have the knowledge now. Like at the time, I really believed I knew what I was doing and it was working, right? But I didn't have any understanding that it could have been working so much better. Kind of like when you're in private practice and you're undercharging and you've got clients and you think, I'm in private practice, everything's fine. But then you realize that hey, I can do less one-to-ones and I can get paid what I'm worth. And I can also now look at creating online courses and things like that. Like it's like expansion, like all this other stuff starts to open up for you. Yeah, that's what I think this has been like for me. So I'm applying my private practice business principles to my Etsy shop, and I'm going to let you know how it goes. You can listen for the updates. If you have any questions about that, or you have any questions about Booked and Better and getting on to that subscription. Now, that subscription for Booked and Better, it was a $27 founding member rate, and then it went to $37, and the products in there are also sold separately for people who don't want to subscribe. And I think one of them is $47 or $57 and the other one's $77. Actually, I think the app is $77 and it's going to $97 because it's just that good. I mean, as I said, I'm already getting feedback, and it was only released the 15th. So not even 10 days ago, but already I've had 3 people get bookings through the app. So they got the app, they got the booking got them $150 in that session from that client, but they pay $37 in the membership to get the thing, right? So when I'm selling them individually, I'm now going to be pricing according to if there's got somebody one booking and that booking is $150, how much would you pay to get that one booking, knowing that that one booking is potentially going to lead to that particular client booking even more sessions, right? I mean, on average, therapists in Australia see clients 10 times to 20 times a year. So that one booking, essentially, you could say, is going to generate for that person $150 times 10 sessions. That's $1,500. So yeah, the price for selling the products individually is going to go up to better match the value. So yeah, if you want to join the subscription, you're absolutely welcome. The subscription fee is going to go up at some point. Probably, I don't know. I want to just get some more products, test them, all that kind of stuff, but it will be going up, and it's probably going to end up being a $97 membership, and it will end up from there going up to a membership that's maybe $147, like a session fee a month, because it's going to get a session a month. So yeah, I'm just sharing with you the insight here, the thinking here, approaching it with the business mindset. It's a whole thing, passive income, right? I can tell you actually one thing that was a real pain in the behind to sell on Etsy. That was affirmation cards. If you're selling affirmation cards, like on your Etsy store, they're probably not moving. They're a nightmare. I will definitely not be doing that again. But yeah, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you've got some insight as to what passive income streams look like behind the scenes. It's legit having a second business. Even if you want to have it as a hobby, it's like having a second business. So yeah, approach it with the right mindset is my big lesson. If there's nothing else you take away from today, the thing that I want you to take away is it doesn't matter what you do for your passive income. It might be a course, it could be a subscription, it could be a membership, it could be like, I don't know, whatever, like Etsy, it could be anything. Approach it with your private practice business principles, and you're going to do so much better. You're going to do so much better. All right, my lovelies. Yes, if you want help with your private practice too, of course, let me know. Links in the show notes for anyone who might be interested in getting some support with your private practice. What else? Oh, links in the show notes as well for Booked and Better if you want to get in while it's $37. Also, yeah, no link for the Etsy shop because it's not like fully loaded yet, let's just say. Okay, that's it. I know, it's so much fun. Okay, have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being part of my world. I appreciate you like you wouldn't believe. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I'll see you in the next episode on Saturday. Bye. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So as you reflect on today's insights, imagine creating real success in your private practice without going down rabbit holes or exhausting yourself with business activities that don't move the needle. With Practice Momentum, you have push of a button help available on demand. It's like having an expert in your pocket ready to guide you whenever you need it. Visit brooklynstorm.com to discover how Practice Momentum can transform your approach to building a thriving practice. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the mind, business, and spirit of private practice success.